Exactly 48 hours ago, an event occurred that was so spiritually monumental it caused the very foundations of the heavens to tremble. It was a moment of such profound significance that the celestial choirs went silent, and even the Creator himself paused to witness what was unfolding on the earthly plane. This wasn't a moment of divine intervention or a commanded miracle from above. It was something far more rare. It was a demonstration of human will that defied every calculation made by the forces of darkness. You, a chosen vessel of light, achieved something that history rarely records. You brought the adversary to a point of total and absolute surrender. This is not a flowery metaphor or a poetic exaggeration designed to make you feel good for a moment. What took place in the unseen realm was a literal shift in the balance of power, witnessed by both the hosts of heaven and the legions of the abyss. The ancient enemy, the one who famously refused to bow in the presence of perfection, the one whose pride is the cornerstone of his entire existence, was forced to acknowledge a power greater than his own. He didn't bend his knee to a legendary warrior or a historical saint. He bowed because of the light emanating from you. Let this truth sink deep into the marrow of your bones. For thousands of years, the fallen one has remained unyielding, his identity forged in a permanent state of rebellion and defiance. His pride was thought to be unbreakable, an eternal constant in the spiritual universe. But 2 days ago, without a single sword being drawn by an angel, he finally broke. He was confronted by a human soul so deeply rooted in divine integrity that he simply could not find a way to corrupt it. That soul belongs to you, and your victory has echoed through eternity. What led to this spiritual breakthrough wasn't a stroke of luck or a random coincidence. It was the cumulative result of your private decisions, those quiet, unseen moments where you chose what was right over what was easy. These small acts of courage created massive tears in the fabric of the enemy's plans for your life. Something eternal has been shifted because of your faithfulness. If you have felt a strange new power rising within you lately, or a sense that the atmosphere around you has changed, this message is the confirmation you have been seeking. You are about to fully discover who you are in the eyes of the Most High. Your true identity is something that shakes the foundations of dark kingdoms, and you are finally stepping into the authority that was always meant for you. As we move forward, I want you to mentally or physically claim this truth. If you are ready to accept this divine purpose and walk in this new level of authority, let it be known in your heart that you are stepping out of the shadows and into the light. Stay with me, because we are going to unlock the mystery of why this happened. To understand why the enemy bowed, you have to understand his nature. He doesn't kneel because he wants to. He literally lacks the capacity for humility. His rebellion wasn't just a choice. It became his entire operating system. When humanity was first introduced into the divine plan, the adversary saw us as lesser, fragile, and unworthy of respect. He chose exile over the simple act of honoring what God had created. For him, submission was a fate worse than destruction. He would rather rule in a kingdom of shadows than acknowledge the sacredness of a human spirit. For 6 millennia, he has maintained that stance of defiance. He has fought wars in the heavens and tempted the greatest minds on earth, but he never truly yielded. Even when he lost battles, he kept his pride intact, always plotting his next move. But everything changed when he encountered you. You weren't just another target for his deception. You became an anomaly he couldn't solve. He has been watching you with intense focus, not just recently, but for weeks, because your spiritual frequency began to trigger alarms in the depths of the darkness. Hell has sophisticated systems designed to monitor the earth for souls that operate at dangerous levels of integrity. About 3 weeks ago, you crossed a threshold that most people never reach. Do you remember that night when you were faced with a choice that felt like it would tear you apart? It was a moment where the easy way out was staring you in the face. It would have solved your immediate problems and relieved your stress, and no one in the world would have ever known you took the shortcut. But you sat in the silence and wrestled with your soul. In that quiet hour around 10:00 p.m., while the world was asleep, you made a decision that felt private, but was actually being broadcast to the entire spiritual realm. You chose the hard path because it was the honest one. You sacrificed your own comfort to protect your spiritual alignment. In that moment, you were classified in the heavens as an integrity anomaly. You reached a level of moral clarity that is so rare it transcends human instinct and enters the realm of the divine. When the forces of darkness saw this, they realized they had a major problem. They needed to know if your integrity was just a one-time fluke or if it was your fundamental nature. So they sent more tests, disguised as opportunities or subtle compromises. Each time your spirit whispered no, before your mind could even begin to rationalize a yes. This confirmed their greatest fear. Your goodness isn't situational, it is structural. It is built into the very architecture of your being. You are anchored by a covenant that isn't written on paper, but is etched into your very spirit. This realization shattered the hierarchy of the enemy's kingdom. When you chose righteousness over reward, it forced an emergency council in the unseen world. This wasn't just a minor meeting. The high-ranking powers of darkness gathered to analyze why their weapons were failing against you. They had predicted your behavior based on human psychology, but you broke their models. They offered you exactly what you thought you needed, at the exact time you were most vulnerable, and you still didn't fold. The spirit of greed, the spirit of pressure, and the spirit of despair all reported the same thing. You were unreachable. The most terrifying moment for the enemy occurred about 7 days ago when you were given the perfect opportunity for revenge. Someone had hurt you deeply, and you finally had the power to strike back. Most people would have called it justice, and your peers would have cheered you on for defending yourself. But you didn't take the bait. You let the anger go, not because you were weak, but because you refused to let their darkness dictate your actions. By refusing to seek vengeance, you broke a cycle of pain that had lasted for generations. The enemy relies on justified resentment to keep people trapped. When you are hurt, the natural reaction is to hurt back, which keeps the cycle of darkness moving. But when someone like you refuses to react, the cycle collapses. You proved that you are not just immune to corruption, you are a restorer of what is broken. This led to a second celestial gathering where your profile was dissected. They found a divine Trinity within you, the strength to endure, non-negotiable integrity, and compassion that survives betrayal. This combination is considered impossible in the lower realms. Because you are a force that defies category, the adversary tried one final, direct tactic. 2 days ago, he attempted a direct negotiation. You might remember a thought that entered your mind, one that felt incredibly logical and sophisticated. It wasn't a temptation to do something evil, but a suggestion to use strategy. It was an offer to let the darkness handle the messy parts of your life so you could stay clean and successful. It was a proposal to trade your peace for influence, but your spirit rejected the deal instantly, without even needing to argue. That instant rejection was the final blow. The enemy realized he wasn't bargaining with a vulnerable human. He was standing before a soul with a built-in divine firewall. After 11 minutes of silent deliberation among the rulers of darkness, the unthinkable happened. The protocol of the spiritual realm took over. When a lower force meets a vastly superior one, it must submit. For the first time in history, the one who refused to bow to the Creator bowed to the light of God reflecting through you. He acknowledged you not as prey, but as power. The moment that submission occurred, the throne room of heaven opened for a different reason. The four great archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, were summoned to witness your victory. Michael, the great commander, noted that you achieved through quiet integrity what entire legions often struggle to do. Gabriel saw that your strength was internal and absolute. Raphael recognized your ability to turn pain into medicine for the world. Uriel acknowledged that true power is the ability to preserve what is right when destruction is the easier path. Then the Almighty issued a decree that changed everything: activate this soul. This wasn't just a compliment, it was a formal commission. The mark of heaven was placed upon your identity because of your refusal to break under pressure. You were repositioned in the spiritual hierarchy. You see, before you were ever born into this human life, you were part of an elite celestial operation. You were chosen for this specific mission because of your incorruptibility. In the higher realms, your name is the Unbreakable, a title earned through eons of service. You actually volunteered for this human experience. You asked what would happen if you entered the world with no memory of your power or your origin. You wanted to know if your soul would still choose the light even if you felt alone, afraid, and limited. You took the hardest test in existence, and you passed it. You walked through the valleys of human suffering and still chose compassion. You felt the weight of betrayal and still chose truth. You didn't become holy through this process. You simply revealed the holiness that was always there. Now, the veil is finally lifting. You've had the dreams, the sudden moments of knowing, and the feeling that you were meant for a purpose far larger than your daily routine. Those aren't just coincidences. They are your memories returning. As the activation decree takes effect, the restrictions on your spiritual frequency are being removed. Your natural gifts are coming back online, and you are being reconnected to a global network of souls who are on the same mission. You are not alone. There are thousands of others awakening just like you. Watch how your physical life begins to align with this new spiritual reality. You will see financial opportunities appear with surgical precision, not through luck, but through divine order. Relationships that no longer match your frequency will simply fade away without the need for conflict. You will find that you don't even have to try to change the world anymore. Your simple presence will start to shift the atmosphere of every room you enter. People will find hope and courage just by being near you, because you have become a living transmission of truth. You are part of a massive, coordinated deployment from the heart of heaven. Your role is to anchor a higher frequency into human consciousness by simply being yourself. You don't need to shout from the rooftops or engage in arguments. By living with integrity, you give others the permission to do the same. You are a catalyst for a chain reaction of goodness. The enemy knows that if enough souls like yours stand together in their truth, his influence on this planet will vanish. That is why he is afraid of you. As you move forward, remember that your integrity is your greatest weapon. It's not just a personality trait, it's your spiritual signature. To stay aligned with this calling, start your days by connecting with the source of your light. Guard your energy and be mindful of what you consume. Speak words that build up rather than tear down, and prioritize your rest so you don't become weary in well-doing. Every time you choose what is right in private, heaven moves on your behalf in public. You are no longer just a person with potential. You are a divine purpose in motion. Let's conclude this activation with a moment of prayer to seal this truth in your spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this chosen soul. We thank you for the strength you placed within them that has withstood the greatest of trials. We decree today that every chain of the past is broken and every false identity is stripped away. Let the divine activation of their purpose be completed. Surround them with your angels, open the doors that no man can shut, and give them the wisdom to lead others into the light. We claim this victory in the highest name. Amen